Hey everyone, welcome to the Mondesir Critique. Today I'm going to be reviewing the movie The Five Bloods, which was directed by Spike Lee, and it stars Delroy Lindo, Isiah Whitlock Jr., Jonathan Majors, and many more. The movie is about four black Vietnam War veterans who travel back to the country decades later to retrieve the body of their fallen platoon leader, as well as recover gold that they all hid in the jungle years ago. Do I like this movie? While it's very obvious that the cinematography and the performances in this film are top of the line, top notch, greatest I've seen in a really long time, I do feel like the script of this movie was a bit disorienting, and the whole thing was full of classic Spike Lee moments that actually really don't usually work on me, and I'll explain that a little more. Let's talk about the pros. Pro number one. Delroy Lindo, come Oscar season, needs to be given all the awards his house can hold. So he plays this character named Paul, who is this angry, PTSD-stricken soldier that is also really prejudiced at times and just really full of anger over what happened in Vietnam and how his own country treated him coming back from the war. He really brings this character's hysteria and anger to life. The entire time he was on screen, I felt so safe as an audience member. I knew that I was going to get a performance by an actor that really understood his character, and it was a real treat to see. The year isn't over yet, but so far this is the most masterful performance I've seen by any actor at all this year, and so I really hope come award season he gets the love that I think he deserves for this movie. Pro number two. It's very obvious that we are watching a film by a masterful filmmaker. The shots and the camera angles that he picked to kind of bring Vietnam to life were so excellent and beautiful. Pro number three. In the middle of this really heavy message movie about the way black Vietnam War veterans were treated once they got back to the States, there's actually a really interesting and fun heist / caper movie within this film. Watching them figuring out how they're going to get the gold from Vietnam to America without any trouble was really interesting in and of itself. And I think if Lee wanted to keep the movie super light in that sense, it would have still been really good. But Lee is not often light when it comes to messaging. He is usually a bit heavy-handed in that area. Now let's talk about the cons. Con number one. The central message of this movie is the fact that a lot of black Vietnam War veterans were treated like second-class citizens in their own home once they returned to the States. And I feel like the movie didn't really say anything about that beyond that really simple sentence. And so I was just kind of wondering the whole time, well, what is Spike Lee trying to say about this beyond that point? If he wanted to go in that route, why not make the whole entire movie about Lindo's character, Paul, for example, who was the most angry, the most traumatized from what happened during the war and when he got back to the United States. I think it'd been interesting to see a movie set in America and following this really fully developed character like Paul, kind of exploring what it was like to live back in the States during that time and kind of how he's coping with it. Con number two. The Spike Lee films that I have seen in the past, all of the scripts really have bombastic, in-your-face, heavy-handed scripts in a way that just simply doesn't really work for me as an audience member. And I feel like the script also was the same way. I feel like a lot of the characters are antiquated. I just feel like it was the same kind of character on screen as we've seen before in other Spike Lee movies. I feel like a lot of the ways that they speak doesn't always feel super realistic, and when it does feel realistic, it's just always a question of, well, why is he highlighting this specific character? For what purpose? Even with Lindo's character, Paul, and lots of the other ones, it just kind of was dialogue that I didn't really feel like was fitting for this time. Do I recommend this movie? If you really like Spike Lee movies, then this violent, heist film, I think will be one that you are definitely interested in. And in that case, I really suggest that you watch it. But if you're looking to learn about the ways that Black American soldiers were treated once they got back from the Vietnam War or World War II, I suggest watching a documentary about it instead rather than this movie. I think you'll learn a whole lot more and you'll get a much wider scope of what was going on for these veterans. And that is the Mondesier critique. I'll see you later.